Hey guys, so today I'm going to show you how to draw a fox. Mr. Oaks told me that a lot of you guys wanted to learn how to draw animals realistically, so that's what we're going to work on today. And we're going to keep on going with using construction shapes and lines. Now, as you can see, I've already started with the construction lines and shapes, mostly because I wanted to go ahead and get that done so I can get into the meat of things. But before I actually do that, I'm going to explain kind of how these shapes and lines are supposed to work. Now, as you can see, a lot of them, it's really rough. You know, I have a lot of lines going on, and that's okay. This is supposed to be kind of a guide for you to get started. It doesn't have to be perfect, but basically what I have, if you see my cursor, I've got a circle here for the front part of the fox, and then back here I've got a slightly smaller circle, not too much, just slightly smaller. If you kind of look at where it is, you can see that it's pretty even up on top, but then down below there's kind of an angle to it. So that's kind of how you know. And there's some space in there, just a little bit of space. So there's not a really good way to measure it. Just kind of, you're eyeballing it just to see, just to get you started. And then up here, we've got for the head, it's going to be just about the same amount of spacing between these two, maybe slightly more. And then I've got these lines here on the face, which just kind of help me figure out the direction of where they're looking. Okay. Down here, I've got the legs. So the front part of the legs, and they are basically just straight lines. And this is another thing that you have to kind of eyeball. You just kind of draw it down like this, and then you have two little nubs right here that are going at an angle. And back here, the hind legs, two construction lines that are, angle, then going straight down, and then you've got two little nubs going like this. Okay, so that's your basic structure. Now, as you can see, I've already started getting the rest of the body going like this. And basically what you're doing is you're kind of following the shape of the head, and it flows off in just a little bit of a bow, and then you're coming around just like this, and you're starting to form the body like that. And that's basically the start of your fox. So at any point, I'm going to make this a little lighter. At any point, you can pause this video and go at your own pace. Okay, I've just kind of got you started, but basically it's these three circles, these lines to indicate the legs, and then you're forming your body. Now, I went ahead and started the eyes, but you don't have to do that right away. So let's go ahead and get into this. I'm going to pick my pencil here. I'm going to test it out here quick. It's going to go down about right there. Yeah. Okay. So what I'm going to start doing is I'm going to start using my pencil to really start to form the body here. So I'm actually going to start kind of right up here. I'm basically just kind of flowing down. Okay. Now we're going to add some details to this. We're going to add fur and all that kind of fun stuff to give this fox some stuff, but I want to just go ahead and get the body going here. Now, something to remember, these construction shapes and lines are a guide. You don't have to stick to the shapes 100%. It's just to help get you going. But I'm just kind of following along, smoothing out those lines as I go. Just like this. Now, one thing you guys should know is I do not draw animals that often. So this is going to be a fun little challenge for me, and I guarantee you my fox is not going to look that great. I am going to make a nice little guess that your foxes are going to be much better than mine. All right, so I'm kind of following along. Let's get this up here, just like that. There we go. Okay, so now we've got kind of the basic body, and it almost looks like a chicken, right? So we don't want that. So now we're going to start to add some details that'll help give this fox a little bit more of a fox-like quality to it. And one of those things, let's kind of go up here, one of those things are the ears. So trying to figure out where the ears go, I like to pick kind of a halfway point of this construction line and this part right over here. I'm going to just start drawing upward, just like that. And then we're going to get the other ear in there. One thing to keep in mind, however big you make this ear, you want to make this one just slightly smaller. Not a whole lot, just slightly. Okay, and then give this that. And I might even change how big the ears as a little later. Okay, next part, I want to get to those eyes. And fox's eyes are not that big. Not that big at all. So I'm just going to draw two little kind of sharp ovals with that. And then you want to get the snout. So the snout is a kind of a tricky thing because you want to, depending on which way it's looking, the way I've got it looking is the snout is probably going to be sticking out a little further than this circle we have here. So I'm going to come around, I'm going to start bringing it down. Just like that. And then the bottom part of the snout. And then he'll have a nose right here. Okay. So now we've got all that. Now let's go ahead and get these legs in. So for the front legs, kind of start following this construction circle. Just like we did up here, you want it to flow downward. So follow this until you get to a point where you think you need to start forming the leg. You can start coming down like this. And we have this line here. And this will help me to start forming the bottom part of the leg. Same thing over here, flow downward like this. And I might have made my legs a little too long, but I'm not going to worry about that too much here. Just like that. Now let's go ahead and get this other leg in. Same idea, but now you want to come up. Just like this. And start to form this foot. This one's going to stick out a little bit more. Just like that. And this one's a tricky part. You can start to form like a really light line just so you know what the legs are doing, but just like that. So we've got the two the front legs, now we want the hind legs in there. So I'm going to follow this line. And these ones are a little tricky because I'm not using a reference, but if I remember right, the hind legs have kind of a bowed quality to it. So I'm going to start kind of bowing it in like this. Just like that. Okay, and you can see I have these lines here to kind of help me determine when parts of the leg are bending. Let's come here, go to that line, and then we have the paw, just like that. Same part of the back of the leg. Start coming like this. Just like that. And we have this line here, so remember that. So that helps you kind of figure out when you need to start bending that leg. And one of the cool things about animals' hind legs is they typically bend, which is kind of a cool quality of animals. Same thing over here. We're going to come out a little bit, flow off, right there, just like that. Bow the leg a little bit. Start bending it. There we go. And start coming up like this. Bring it up. And there we go. We've got kind of the basic body of our fox, which is great. I'm going to go ahead and get the tail in there, and I think foxes' tails have a kind of a bushier quality to it. So I'm just going to, make a nice little bushy tail here. And I know that foxes usually have that, so you've got that there. So now, at this point, what I want to figure out, I'm going to get rid of these construction lines here, and I'm going to start to really figure out what I want with this now. Yeah, and foxes tend to have like a, those kind of eyes. We'll get this in there. Start adding some fun little things to it. All right, so now I'm gonna kind of shape the way the legs look. Add some fur in there. You can actually do some really fun things. As you can see, what I'm doing right here is I'm starting to shape what the fox is beyond what the construction shapes and lines we're doing. So just shaping things out. You can actually start to change certain things. Use the fur to kind of indicate where certain things are. Get those toes in there. And remember, guys, if I'm going too fast for you, you can always pause the video, okay? But what I'm doing right now is I'm just adding in those furs, adding those textured details to give it the fox more of a, fox-like quality. Just like that. And keep on going with it. You can add little bits of fur with that. But this is basically it. You're just adding those details in. I'm going to go ahead and do some erasing of certain lines, get rid of those lines, but this is basically what you want to do. So if you have any questions, feel free to email Mr. Oakes or Ms. Neff if you're in Ms. Neff's class. And if anything was unclear, I'm sure they can answer those questions for you. But again, feel free to pause the video. I'll send images too, so you have that as a reference. But yeah, have fun with it. Try to find some images on Google, on the internet somewhere to give you different reference points. And I'm going to create some videos to help with perspective. If you have an animal who's just facing just like looking off this way, I'll create some videos to kind of show how to draw that. And I'll do some other videos, with maybe like animals' necks turned or the bodies are twisted around and whatnot, just to give you some other like references and tutorials on how to draw certain different kinds of animals. So anyways, if there's anything specific you'd love to learn how to draw that maybe hasn't been covered yet, email Mr. Oakes, email Ms. Neff, let them know that it's like, hey, I'd love how to learn how to do this, and I'll see if I can get those kind of videos out there for you. So